everybody, and welcome back to another episode of On the Table. Look at this freaking mess everywhere. Look at all the bases. Hey! So guys, I have been getting a bit of an itch to do another lot of Space Marines recently. Now, it does take quite a lot for me to get interested in a certain type of Space Marine chapter, Legion, Warband, whatever. And, you know, the Space Wolves kind of had me with the whole Viking thing, but nothing really pulls me that much. The Grey Knights kind of with their, you know, like whole anti-demon, holiness, super Space Marine kind of mega gene seed type thing. They kind of got me there. But nothing's ever pulled me as much as what I've recently found out. Now, I've also wanted to start playing around and experimenting with a bunch of different, you know, the pre-heresy stuff, but being able to still use them in both 30k and 40k. Now, I had a little root around in my bits box and I found all this stuff here. Now, this is all various GW and unlegitimate GW components that I've acquired through trades and stuff like that, and you know, just what random bits people have sent me. Like this. This isn't Forge World resin at all, but hey ho, it's still Mark III iron armor, I think. But anyway, so I've got loads of. Long story short, I've got loads of Space Marine bits. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, "Hang on, Jojo man, you can't be mixing and matching the different power armors and calling it a certain chapter." Well, this is what I thought until I read about the Blackshields. Now, for those of you who don't know, there are two types of Blackshields. There are the ones that kind of like the one-offs you get in the Death Watch. We're not on about those. The other type of Blackshields, they are Space Marines that have basically given up, completely forsaken their oaths, given up on their liege lords, completely abandoned their chapters, whether they're broken, damned, or whatever. They're basically lost Space Marines that band together and form what is known as a Blackshield. So I want to do a Blackshield warband. Now, the whole idea with the Blackshields is that they are obviously, well, they choose to cut themselves off from the Imperium and pursue their own kind of ways and pursue their own goals and agendas. Some obviously fighting for themselves, fighting only for themselves, thus coming into conflict with the Loyalist forces and the Chaos forces as well. Now, because of that, the fact that they are no longer reinforced by the Imperium means that they can't actually get hold of new weapons and equipment, therefore they have to make their own or salvage their own, which means that I can do things like combine Mark III iron armor with the regular power armor that you get with 40k, and so on and so forth. And I've read something as well that pretty much all Space Marine power armor is compatible or backwards compatible, meaning you can have a mishmash of different things. And because these Blackshields are kind of like rogue, kind of almost mercenary-like, they would have a ragtag appearance, and as such, it gives me a really, really good option, a really good excuse to do some really awesome and interesting looking conversions. Now, we've all done it when we were younger. We've all done a Space Marine, you know, that's got 2 bolt pistols because it looks cool and everything. And unless you're playing with the rule of cool and you've got friends that don't mind that, you know, that's absolutely fine. You can model them with 2 bolt pistols. However, because of the random, so to speak, nature of their war gear, no, not random, should I say, not botched, patchwork, we'll say, their patchwork nature of their war gear, it means that I can do things like have Space Marines modelled with different armours, different marks of armour, different shoulder pads, different weapons and things like that. Now, this is really cool because I've got like a bunch of this stuff. It means I can get some of the Cal things, mix and match everything. I can make each Marine look quite unique. I also managed to dig out some of the new sprues and stuff. This is like the new, well, I say new, the current tactical squad, and it's quite nice. I didn't realise how crisp the detail was, but it means that I can do some really, really cool looking unique models and make each one of them look unique. I might even experiment. I found these in my sprue bin as well. This is an Orc Knob shoulder pad, so I might even do some things with maybe not the ones with the spikes on, they look a bit too orky, but the ones with like the battle damage and stuff. I might even do some stuff with that. You know, make it look like their armor's like been patched together with this kind of stuff. That would be fairly interesting. Now, one of the things that kind of put me off doing this idea a while ago was the fact that I don't really like painting black. Black is slightly annoying for me, and I've never actually done it before, but apparently it's a bit of a ball ache because you've got to do a lot of highlighting and things. Now, myself, quite frankly, the prospect of going from dark to light makes me go, oh, Jesus Christ, it makes me not want to start the project, mainly because I'm a lazy bastard. However, I thought to myself, well, hang on, how about I go from light to dark and use washes, thus taking out a lot of the effort. So I decided to do some experimentation. So I'm going to introduce you now to three friends of mine. We have Armless Steve, over there. We have Tis But a Scratch Jeff. And we also have Look at My Big Gun Terry. And these are basically 3 shades of grey. What I've been looking at trying to do in order to make the armour as black as possible. Now, I don't know if it'll show up very well on camera. The first one, which we'll look at, which is this one guy with no arms here, this was done with a custom colour that I called Dark Metal, and it was basically just a darker version of metal, and this is all done with Badab Black. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. So this is basically the Dark Metal with Badab Black. Now, it looks still quite metallic. It looks very much like lead. With a very dull shine to it. I'm not entirely sure that's the way I want to go on it. Like I said, these are just experimental pieces. As you can see, these Marines are completely fucked. They are shafted beyond belief. Well, maybe I could salvage that backpack, but anyway. So that was done with the Dark Metal that I had. The next one, which was this was done with a Dark Sea Grey by Vallejo, and I think it's too dark. You can't really tell that there's been a wash on it. It could have just been done one colour over a light kind of undercoat. Speaking of undercoats, I undercoated them all in the Light Ghost Grey primer from Vallejo. Now, this fellow here with 1 foot, this is what I think I'm gonna go with. This is Light Sea Grey from Vallejo, with 2 heavy washes of, not Badab Black, Nuln Oil over the top. Now, what I'm thinking of doing 1 wash, 2 wash, then going in and applying some silver detailing, because the Blackshield Space Marines is basically black with silver detailing or whatever colour. Maybe a slight bit of red, I'm not entirely sure. I think maybe a bit of red on like the top sections of the helmets and stuff might just make them pop a little bit. And maybe green eyes or something using my glowy effect, or maybe even orange eyes. I might try a different colour, but I'm not too sure. I do know that I'm probably going to paint all the trim, or where there is trim, silver. Any kind of like iconography, because bear in mind, the Blackshield Space Marines are Marines that are supposed to basically stripped all symbols of their chapter off, so there's no Space Wolf symbols, no Blood Angel symbols, no Raven Wing symbols, no nothing. So it's supposed to have none of that. I can still get away with having the Aquillas, but obviously none of the Purity Seals and stuff. Want to get rid of those as well, make them look very mercenary, very ragtag-like. I'm going to do like the helmet silver with the red on them, and again I'm going to probably paint those separately just so it's easier in order to get the colours in and stuff, because like I said, I'm a lazy bastard. But yeah, so that's kind of like my general idea, guys. That's the kind of dark effect that I'm going to do, and it'll also mean that I won't have to do loads of fucking edge highlighting, which is really, really good. Another thing as well, I was thinking to myself, well, in regards to the whole fluff side, sorry, I've got bits of stuff in my mouth. I was thinking, in regards to the fluff side of things, how am I going to do these guys? Because obviously these guys, I'm not going to have many of them, but I was thinking my Skitarii kind of need a bit of reinforcement sometimes. They're quite fragile, so what I was thinking of doing, maybe 2 or 3 squads of these guys, and having them, so maybe maybe my Mechanicum is somewhat of a rogue faction. Not quite Dark Mechanicum, not quite Loyalist. Maybe they just went their separate ways, like the Blackshields did. Maybe they somehow met up, and my rogue Mechanicum, we'll call them, maybe they supply and rearmor the Blackshield Space Marines, and in return for their services, the Blackshield Space Marines provide protection for the Mechanicum, which would be quite good. It would quite suit the fact that my Mechanicum army is very, how to say, patchy in regards to what it actually has. It has a good mix of current 40k and the 30k Forge World stuff, which makes it quite nice. Also, in regards to things like using them for for an army purposes, in game purposes. I could just use standard Marines, but I wanted something to represent a little bit more battle hardened and a little bit more how should I say, survivability. And as we I can't remember if I've done a video on this, but I've actually picked up the Imperial Agents Codex. Now in the Imperial Agents Codex, there's actually rules for Legion of the Damned. Now these guys are pretty cool because they're weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 4, strength 4, toughness 4. So there's 4s across the board on that one. Initiative 4. They get 2 attacks each. They're quite good in close combat. And they have 3+ armor save, but one of the cool things is they have all the war gear. They have frag, crack grenades, bolt gun, and bolt pistol, meaning I can model them however I want, pretty much. They can deep strike. Well, they have to deep strike, which is really cool. And they also get a 3+ invulnerable save. Now, the 3+ invulnerable save is cool because it means that I can do things like, maybe I can justify it by, maybe it's battle sense or something like that. Maybe they've been at war for that long. They're that veteran. They've fought on that many battlefields that it almost counts as like an old ward save. If anyone remembers that from Fantasy, which is like, rather than it being an extra bit of armor, a force field, or anything magical, it was kind of like a dodge. They dodged out the way of stuff. Maybe they have some kind of like solid snake style battle sense where they can kind of sense stuff almost like spider sense, like precognition before it happens. They get out of the way dead quick. That would be pretty cool. But anyway, yeah, so 3+ invulnerable save, awesome. Now the one downside is that there's literally, they have like no special weapons pretty much. They have heavy flame, they have a heavy flamer, multi-melter, flamer, and plasma gun. And well, melter guns as well. So they do have heavy weapons. Sorry, I stand corrected. So they have heavy flamers and multi-melters. That's it. However, I'm thinking of having 7 in a squad, having 1 with a plasma, 1 with a flamer. So, you can kind of deal with all situations. And maybe giving the Sergeant a Power Fist as well. I'm not entirely sure, but I do have some spare Power Fists. But anyway, so this is kind of like my idea. It gives me an excuse to do some extra modelling, to buy some new kits and stuff. And it justifies me having them as well. But yeah, guys, let me know in the comments, in the doobly-doo down below, what you think of this idea. I think it's going to be really cool. It's going to be really interesting to do. It's going to give me some really cool-looking models. Obviously not these things, because these guys are just fucking what I use just for testing. Colour scheme's out. One's gone for a burn already. But anyway, yeah. Leave a comment in the doobly-doo down below, guys. Let me know what you think of my Blackshield Space Marine idea. That's pretty much it for this episode, guys. Just thought I'd run this idea past you. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. So I will see you guys again. Oh, also, one more thing. I normally do the... fuck, I'm choking on something. I normally do Marines on this size base. However, because they're going to go with my Mechanicum Force, I think I'm going to do the new size base of all the Space Marines. It means that I can do a little bit more work on the bases. And it also means that it kind of distinguishes them from a Mechanicum stuff because they're bigger, they're harder than regular Skitarii. So that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. Hopefully the plan goes ahead. It could be one of the other many projects that I start and never finish. But hey-ho, and at least I've not bought anything yet. I've got enough to make at least 1 squad. So if I'd make him and then decide to fuck it, I can't be arsed painting him, and the idea never sees the light of day again, I've not lost anything and I've not wasted any money. But that being said, it is a great way of being able to do an army on a budget. If you're poorer than dirt like me currently, Blackshield Space Marines might be the way to go. If you've got friends that have spare bits and stuff. Speaking of which, I will happily accept donations. That would be really awesome. But anyway, guys, I digress. That's not me telling you or asking you guys for any stuff. Literally, I don't want to be begging for stuff. But if anyone wants to donate any Marine parts, then that's fine by then. We'll call it a community project. Haha, how about that? But anyway, guys, I'll end this video now. So, thank you for watching. See you now, and goodbye.